Tina, thank you so much for joining us. This is a very special moment for me because of who you are and who you are descended from, but also because of the moment in time that we find ourselves at. And the reason that I asked you to come on Colors to talk, and it was because a couple of weeks ago, we got an invitation from the Central Intelligence Agency, which is an organization that I cover in what I
Hmm.
call my day job as a national security correspondent. And I was surprised. They said, we're unveiling a statue of Harriet Tubman. And so I went, and while I was there, they told me that you had been there to cut the ribbon, help cut the ribbon, and help them with
Right.
the unveiling, which took place before the press was allowed to see it. So I'd like to say thank you for joining me, and first ask you what sort of went through your mind when that ribbon cutting was taking place, that whole ceremony happened.
Well, it's a pleasure uh, uh, being here. And when I was there, it's always been my quest to promote her, especially. Everybody knows her by the Underground Railroad, but not many people really know what she did during the Civil War. Uh, and not many people know about what that involves. So with her with them placing her image, her statue on the grounds of the CIA, to me just follows uh, the her induction into the military intelligence corps, and which happened in June 2021. And why that's so important to me is that she did so much during the Civil War to help our country. She believed that it could be a great country, but only if they did free the slaves and allow them to fight and then to continue on that way. So, all the things that she did towards democracy, for inclusion, um, just ran through my mind as I was standing there looking at her. Now, is it as important as why it was really done or what people think is behind it? No, it's not. The fact is that in this country, we go by symbolism, ideas that they want to plant into our minds through money, through statues, whatever. So that statue on those grounds is just a reminder of who she was and what she did for this country. So
Yeah,
that's what was going through my mind.
yeah. Well, you're exactly correct about the symbolism of this country, and there's so many people when they heard that this was happening, their minds went to certain places, and their comments came from certain
Yeah.
places. And frankly, when I heard this too, I the same thing happened to me. But being a
Mm-hmm.
journalist, I said, okay, I just need to go see what this is, and let the facts speak for themselves. And they have spoken, and you are speaking now. So, would you just tell me about the experience of that day? Had you ever been to CIA before? What was the
Never,
experience like?
never. First of all, I mean, it's a beautiful campus. Um, uh, and how it looks, nestled among the trees and everything. Um, a lot different from what you see on or what you think through TV, because most people haven't been there,
Right.
and it's not even known that you can go there. When I was teaching for a museum school in the '90s, we did alternative learning, went to other different sites, museums, all other alternative places of learning. CIA never came up as an ideal to go to. It's always been a secret place.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I can tell you for sure, as somebody who's been there many times. I've been covering this beat for
Mm-hmm.
17 years, and
Mm-hmm.
I've gone there many times for special events or celebrations, that are germane to the intelligence community, somber occasions. And it has always been that kind of place, as you say, secret. But the fact that, one, Nathan Hale's statue is standing out front there in front of this building on one side, and his claim to fame was, I have but one life to give for my country. On the other side of this building is the statue of Harriet Ross Tubman. That is huge, to me, and I think to other people who walk those grounds, those folks who walk the grounds on a daily basis. But one thing that struck me during a conversation that I had with the museum director, he told me that there was a course, a class
Right.
that
I
people
found that out
take.
too.
That this has been going on for a long time. I never knew about that. And
Mhm.
so, what was your understanding of what this course or class is like or was about?
They used her primarily as a mentor. That's what I got from it. What she did, how she did it, and I'm not surprised by that they would do that and use her in that way because um, when she was being inducted, uh, and when I went down to Fort Huachuca, the military intelligence base, and then also here in a program that I did to celebrate to educate, I have him, where he's saying these things about her. And let's see, I wrote this one down because I don't want to, uh, I want you to be able to hear those words because many people aren't going to go to uh, my YouTube site called Harriet is Calling. And that's where you'll see a program that I do every year. I usually do it in person, but that year we had to do it because, we were where it was during COVID. But this is what he said of her. He said, in her works and accomplishments, we see the seeds of the modern intelligence corps, from intelligence gathering behind enemy lines to informing and guiding precision shots on all missions that change the strategy across the country in our army. And then he says that her impeccable intelligence gathering and planning completely foiled the Confederacy's best laid defensive plans. And then he says it reminds him of modern day special operations. So during the induction ceremony, he says that they used her and what she did as an example of how to do those things as they went along in the Army. So they used her as, I guess, informal mentor.
Yeah.
And in the same way that you see that statue out there, and she's holding a lamp. Now, that statue is a reproduction of one that is located in Auburn, New York. And that's where my family, my mother and her family are from. And it's in front of the Heritage Center created by the artist. And I said to him, I said, now, she wouldn't carry a light when she was, on the Underground Railroad. And she wouldn't carry a light even in the battlefield because she would be detected. And so he said, yeah, I know that. I said, so were you using it as a metaphor? A guiding light, a guiding source coming from within her, from God, that kind of thing. So that is how her life is right now. She's not here any longer, but her life still gives. What she did is still giving. And those who really pay attention to it and want to use it as a guide for themselves, will have great success.
Can I tell you just how special you and your family are? Well, you already know this. I'm sure you already know this. This is just another person that's going to tell you probably stuff you've heard for 100,000 times already. But I'm just going to say it again. You know, just being able to be in the same virtual space with Harriet Tubman's descendant and hearing your words describe what she did and what her objectives were and how she did what she did means a heck of a lot to me. And this is one of the reasons why Colors was started. Colors was born the day George Floyd died. Mm. And so many other things. This is, you know, we've done 120 some episodes, and this episode, I can promise you, is the most important one we've done to date, because this is the one that actually pulls the covers off of a number of things that have taken place historically, and things that people have thought about and people have wondered about in terms of why Black Americans in this country are in the position that they're in and have gone through the things that they've gone through, and how in many cases we survived. And this story of Harriet Ross Tubman goes to the very heart of it, because she was the person who taught so many people how to survive and led them, you know, in this quest so that they could survive, so that their legacies and descendants eventually could survive. So enough of me. I just want to tell you that, and I want to hear from you about the message you think this statue and everything that's taken place sends to Black folks.
That this person who, first of all, they know where she came from, that she was an enslaved person. And during that time, and even during the time of the Civil War, legally, according to United States, in the South, she was illegal, you know, because she's, according to them, they're looking at it, oh, she stole herself, you know, by liberating herself. So, but we know that's impossible. I mean, you know, they stole from her. So, but the thing is that by her presence, what she did, coming from that, not being daunted by what she could not do, read or write, or that she was enslaved, through her relationship with God, he gave her something. He let her know how important she was to him. And that brought her out, because she talks about how he had come to her in a vision 3 times. But the third time she acquiesced. But the thing is that doing that, it gave her more courage, strength, because she was having courage and all like that while she was on that plantation, and to continue to do what she was doing and survive. But he wanted her to go out and to create and liberate other people, create lives for other people, uplift other people. And that's what she did. And she was selfless. But see, that's the thing that people don't understand. You can't put your feelings on yourself and not think about other people if you want to uplift someone. You can do that for a while if you want to, but you're not going to be successful. You're not going to be happy in your life doing that. But she was able to take herself out of the center and put other people in it. And she did that all of her life until she left this earth. So when I say to people, look at where she was, where she came from, the courage that she displayed. And see, that's what we need. I remember being taught those things growing up as an African American, that we can't allow anybody to stop us. We can't allow anybody else's opinion of who they think we are to dissuade us or to keep us from climbing over those obstacles. That we have to have confidence and belief in ourselves and what and who we are and what we're able to do.
That's remarkable. And, you know, thank you for sharing that. And that's uplifting. You know, as the son of two people who were, my father is passed, a person of faith, my mother, a person of faith, I am. But my mother also quilted. And you can talk to her, and she did lectures for a long time before she retired about what each one of those little squares meant, and you know how you interpret it, and what it meant to the people who Harriet Ross Tubman was leading, and then what it means to people who think they know what it means. You know what I'm saying? So there's such a deep meaning to what everything that she did and what you do and your family do that we don't even understand. Just we think we think we know, but you can't know until we talk to you. But I'm so appreciative that you took this opportunity to share all this. And so I want to ask you this question about Ernestine Tina Martin Wyatt, your life. You know, it seems to me a good part of it has been dedicated, as you said, to promoting Harriet Ross Tubman and everything she did. Tell us about how you would go about that on a daily basis.
Well, first of all, you know, I've always known about her relationship to me, and but I didn't connect really with her until I guess in 2000, around 2000, somewhere around there, and it was reading again, because I had read it numerous times growing up, what she said about herself, about her life. But it wasn't until in that time when I was going through a health challenge of my own that her words of faith just jumped off the page at me. And that's where I began to connect with her. That's where I began to look at her as a person that was alive, not a dead person, but a person that was alive and had a life. My grandmother would always say, Aunt Harriet, and I would always think, well, you didn't know her. She's dead. What are you talking about? I didn't say that to my grandmother as a child. I knew better than that, but that's what I would think. But then I found out she did know her. You know, she was young enough and she was still alive then. So, and so she loved her because of that, because she knew her. Mm-hmm. But I began to love her because of her faith. Through her faith, I saw her connection with God and her selflessness. And that made me start thinking more about connecting with God in a way that stopped being religious and start to become intimate with God. You get to know him. Yeah. So that way it's like, oh, I just love her. And I have to keep promoting all the things that she's done because they're all in line with really what God says for us to do as people on this earth. She's done it all. She's thought that way. She's felt that way. And he took what was good in her, what she could do, and just, expanded it, and so, and she was willing for all of that. So I want her, and I know this wouldn't really be important to her as a person who is that selfless. I mean, she's not a saint. I'm not saying she's a saint, but because there's no one that's perfect except Jesus. So, in my belief, but she getting close to it by how she saw it, how she sought to do the right thing and do those things toward other people, because it's what we do towards other people. And that's how he uses us. Yeah. So, and that's how he was able to use her. So I promote what she's done, those seeds that were planted in her to help make a better life for other people. I promote that. I promote what she's done in the Civil War, because she wanted to be able to seek her pension, because she had all these people she was still taking care of, her parents included, and other family members. And so she was serving in the Civil War, and that was a major concern for her. If I go down there and do this with a bounty on my head, I could get caught. I have to make sure that my parents are going to be taken care of. So that was important. And then she got word after some time that her parents were in need. So after the Civil War, she sought her pension for spy and as a scout, and they denied her. So it has been my quest to try to magnify her existence during the Civil War, showing people what she actually did. She was an entrepreneur. I mean, this lady was sharp. She was well ahead of her time. She has so many gifts from God. I mean, that it's just, it almost seems unbelievable that she had that many gifts. But she used them well. She was a pharmacist. She knew how to heal. And then, she worked for the Freedmen's Department, to be able to teach the newly freed how to live a life that's going to be full and happy and be able to take care of themselves, use the same skills that they were using during the Civil War. I mean, not during the Civil War, but during enslavement, right. And to be able to use that. So she taught them that during the Civil War, during that time, of how to do that, how to transfer those skills.
This is absolutely remarkable. Talk about you're talking about God using her to and expand on I suppose what it was that He had in mind for her, and her being selfless and exporting it to other people and using herself to help other people, to be a beacon, no pun intended, for other people down the road, many generations, although I'm not sure she knew that.
Exactly.
I'm not sure she knew that then, but maybe she did. But I want to ask you about this time that we live in now, these many generations later. Race is still an issue. Some of the things that many people have thought were solved and dealt with many years ago are not. They continue to flare up. So I want to know what your thoughts are about race in America today.
I'm appalled. Really, I'm appalled. The fact that it's almost like we're living in the 1800s. So we're celebrating her 200th year of, the bicentennial of her birth, and it's 1822. But what are we doing now? We're looking back to 1822 and other people are wanting for us to live during that time again. Those are the good old days for those people. And they're trying to take us back to that time. And I tell my children, I say, be ever vigilant. Because if you don't believe that can happen, then you are sadly mistaken, because all it does is to do anything is to take a few people to be complicit. And and to change and go along with somebody else. And I see that happening continually every day. And even in our Congress, I see it. And that's shameful. The thing is that you see it in other ways. You talk about what hasn't changed. We still have to fight the struggle to be able to be counted as human beings, to live as everybody else lives. You look at the 13th Amendment that was done, and you look at that exceptions clause. That exception clause says really what happened is that they legalized slavery again under another name. And you see it through back then it started through convict leasing, and that's still happening today in our prisons, where it's a corporation now, and they're leased out, or their ability to do things are leased out in order to be able to create wealth for somebody else, and that's not right. So, but there are people that are working, organizations that are working. Abolition Slavery Network, they're working to get states to create a new amendment that will outlaw that. Why is it that that's still there? Why are we still having to renew our voting rights? Us, why? Why African Americans? Those things slavery was outlawed. That should be outlawed.
Yeah.
The oppression that continues in subtle ways just continues and continues and continues.
Yeah. Let me ask you one really quick final thing here. And I appreciate your time. I've gone way over what I expected. Hopefully we'll be able to engage again in the future. But what have I not asked you about that you think is important for us as everybody, regardless of race, creed, gender, anything, that we need to remember about Harriet Ross Tubman, about what she struggled for and the struggles we face?
Aunt Harriet fought for democracy, and she understood that we could not have democracy without everybody being free. She understood that we could not have democracy if you're excluding a group of people. To understand that this country was, the motto of this country is "In God We Trust." It's on our money. But that did not stop us from allowing other people with other beliefs or ideals from coming into the country. We welcomed other people with any belief that they have. And that's what democracy is. That's a part of democracy. And to try to remove that and take that away, where we're going to try to, if you're not like me, or if you don't believe the way I believe, then we're going to try to oppress you and change things, just like they don't want to teach the history of slavery. That just informs everyone of what has been done. And that's the point about what she did. She wanted to let people know, if you don't understand what went before you, then you're going to repeat it when you go forward. So if our children, we teach our children our history, but other races, or I'll say, because race is a word that was created by somebody else. God looks at us as one human. And so when you're looking at that, there is no division there. There's not supposed to be a division there. But man wants to create that division. And we have to fight against people creating a sense of hierarchy in terms of I'm superior, you're inferior. I live over here, so I'm better than you. My children go to this school so that I'm going to give them everything, give you less. And that's all meant to keep you in a certain place, to keep you down, to make somebody else feel better, or to make them feel that they are greater than you. That is not how she lived her life. She was a person, like I said, she was illiterate in terms of couldn't read or write, but she was smart as a whip. She was very alert. Her thinking was very acute. She was discerning. And that's the other thing you can learn from her, is to pay attention to what's around you. Pay attention to what's happening. You don't always have to speak it out, but just watch what's around you. Watch what's going on around you. And what's going on in the world, because she did that throughout her time of, she created plans and strategies. She didn't do anything without a plan, without creating a strategy. See, we just hop into things and do things, but she didn't do that.
Yeah.
She always had a plan. She always had a strategy about what she was doing.
Yeah. Thank you. We all need a plan. We all need a strategy. And Harriet Tubman is perhaps the master of that. And the fact that her statue or her likeness was unveiled by an organization, a secretive organization that prides itself on strategies and plans, is the absolute proof of that. So, Ernestine Tina Martin Wyatt, thank you for spending some time with us and talking about this important subject, this important development, and your thoughts about this today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.